Extending the Green Line into Somerville and Medford did not get derailed this week, but it was a close call. On Monday, MBTA officials agreed to a leaner project, shaving hundreds of millions of dollars off the cost, now estimated at $2.3 billion. The new line would extend about 5 miles from Lechmere in Cambridge to Tufts University in Medford. There'd be a total of 7 new stops through one of the densest and most congested areas of the state. As you can see here, construction has already begun all along the route, but there's still serious questions about if and how this project will get done. Joining me is the woman with the answers, Stephanie Pollack, State Secretary of Transportation. Secretary Pollack, it's great to see you.
Great to be here, Jim.
Commonwealth Magazine's headline after the vote the other day was Green Line extension given yellow light. Is that a fair description of where it is, do you think?
I mean, we green-lighted the project in the sense that we are now moving ahead, but it's fate. You know, there's a bunch of gates it needs to go through, and the first one is the federal government has to accept our new redesign and, most importantly, the cost estimate.
$1 billion is without which there's not $1 billion without which the thing is dead.
Right.
Is the thing dead if you say there's a $70-some million shortfall still without the which seems like nickels and dimes on $2.3 billion? Is the thing dead if you don't find $70 million?
Well, this is why I say the federal review is critical, because the Green Line went into the last round of federal review as a $1.6 billion project and came out as a $2 billion project. So if it goes in as a $2.3 billion project and comes out that way, then yes, I think that we can work to find the last $70 million. It's not the $70 million. What I'm worried about is what if it goes in as a $2.3 billion project and the feds tell us, no, we need $2.5 or $6 billion in order to cover the costs.
In 2016, does any $2.3 billion project ever come out as a $2.3 billion project? I'm not talking Big Dig Part 2, but costs always grow. I don't mean just at the rate of inflation. They always grow, don't they?
Well, but they shouldn't. We should actually be able to estimate the cost of a project that has already been designed pretty much all the way and get it right and keep to it. And if you look at how the private sector builds things, they actually deliver projects at the costs they estimate. And we've got to get better at that, not just at the T, but at the highway department too.
How much do you like being quoted by yourself? Do you like that? I know you do from your former life. You know, without people like you, your great work at Conservation Law Foundation, everybody knows this thing probably never would have happened to begin with. And your quote from when a lawsuit was filed that led to this Green Line thing was essentially, we don't care if the state goes broke, they have to do this. So you're now responding to yourself. How do you respond to that woman from 10 years ago?
I wish she knew then what I know now, because there really was this notion that it wasn't going to be a T project, you know, that somehow the Commonwealth would deliver the project and that was different from the T. And all that was really about is the source of the money, but it's still the T's job to deliver the project and then to operate it when it's done, and there's no way around that. And the T that needs to deliver that project is having a hard time delivering service every day to 1 million riders.
If you hadn't gotten $75 million commitment combined from Somerville and Cambridge just days before this vote, would this thing have been dead?
I think both boards had passed a unanimous resolution saying they wanted to have the cities to have skin in the game. And so, you know, and what I told the mayor and the city manager, quite honestly, is if you have me walk into that board meeting with nothing, then you're not meeting their prerequisite. And I know, and I really appreciate the hard work that went into the efforts to deliver those letters of intent, because we don't usually ask cities to help us pay. But in this case, that was one of the prerequisites.
So it might have gotten a no vote this week had it not been for the $75 million.
I mean, there were board members and not just me who were saying, that's nice, but where's the rest of the money? So yeah, I think if we had walked in with nothing, it would have been a very hard sell.
Bill Strauss, who's the House Chair of the Transportation Committee, when I asked him about the Somerville and Cambridge thing on the phone today, said it was ad hoc extortion. This is no way to run a railroad. And his position is, without giving a headache to the people at home, is you guys should endorse this, whatever it's called, this, what is it called, value capture notion, that essentially, the good news for you is you have 2 communities, Cambridge rolling in dough, Somerville doing pretty well. When you want to build into another community, there should be a law in the state that essentially allows communities to dedicate a portion of the property tax that grows because you're building transportation infrastructure there, dedicated to the cost of this so that it's institutionalized. Is he right? I don't mean in the ad hoc extortion, you don't have to respond to that. You can if you want. But is he not right that institutionalizing the system because the state can't pay for everything is the right way to go?
So I don't think this is going to be the last time that we ask cities and towns to chip in for infrastructure. It's a practice that's widespread all over the country, and it's a good way of having everybody who benefits from projects, have some skin in the game. And I actually agree with Chairman Strauss that we don't have enough tools in the toolkit for cities and towns that want to do that. So exactly how value capture would work, I think, is a question that we are rightfully thinking about. But that in the future, we need, more tools and less ad hoc is a valid criticism.
So you do plead guilty to ad hoc extortion, is that what you're saying?
Not extortion. I did not use the word extortion.
Just ad hoc.
The fact that it was ad hoc was because we didn't have time to put together a piece of legislation with a new mechanism. We had
But you
to
would
work with
support
what
some
we
such
had.
thing.
I think, that's the question is under what parameters. It's one thing to dedicate a portion of the existing tax base, which is one version of value capture. In other versions, you're talking about new taxes, and then that's different.
Let's move to another project that is not quite as far along, North-South Rail. I love the fact that it's championed by two people in particular. Well, Seth Moulton is the third, but Congressman, championed by your boss's mentor, Bill Weld, and a guy you worked down the hall from when you were at Northeastern. That'd be Governor Dukakis. I was talking to the governor, Marjorie Egan and I were talking to the governor yesterday on the radio, look at the smile on your face, about your notion that we have to expand South Station. And here's what he said bleeding into his position on North-South Rail. Here's the governor.
That's insane. Nobody in the railroad business is expanding 19th century stub-end stations. They're connecting them. Now, look, a governor can't be an expert in everything, but he's getting lousy advice from MassDOT. I just got to tell you, they don't understand the project. They never have. It's time that Stephanie and the people down there take a good, hard look at this and understand that this is the alternative.
This guy knows a lot about transportation, don't you think?
He does know a lot about transportation. I think I know a little bit.
So how do you respond to what the governor has to say, former governor has to say?
So I would respectfully disagree that we don't understand the project, but I actually agree 100% with the governor and a lot of other people who have said that it's an appropriate time to take another look at it, and it's a particularly appropriate time to take another look at it before we make a final decision on South Station. We've committed to spending $2 million to do a feasibility reassessment. We're still trying to work out what that means, because while everyone agrees that we have $2 million to spend, when they then ask for what they'd like to see in the study, it's kind of a lot more than a $2 million study, but we're working on that.
So is it possible, I mean, his view, as was evident in the beginning there, and I shortened it a little bit, was forget this expansion of the Michael S. Dukakis, whatever it is, South Station, but forget that and build the North-South Rail. That'll deal with your problems. Is that a possibility, or are you looking at the possibility of doing both things?
No, we're going to continue our work on the South Station expansion, which, with all due respect to Governor Dukakis, I think has a lot of advantages that are different from the reasons for doing the North-South Rail Link. And in our North-South Rail Link reassessment, we are going to ask the question, if we did that, how does it affect the need for investment at both North Station and South Station, an issue the governor has raised, which is a legitimate one.
We only have one more left. We've discussed in the past late night service. Obviously, it was canned, I guess, in March. Three guys wrote a piece in Commonwealth Magazine, again, including one who held your job, Jim Aloisi, not too long ago, who have this idea, they say, not so much to serve the late night intoxicated reveler, but the workers who, not just late night, but all night and 7 days a week using buses. They say $1 million. Your people say maybe 3 or 4. Is this, how possible is this thing? It sounded like a good idea to me.
It's a good enough idea that, we've met with them, we've presented their ideas to the board, we've tried to come up with our own estimate. We're still trying to talk to them and see if we can get the numbers closer together. So, again, we haven't ruled out, trying new service pilots, even while we're trying to fix the T. But just as we said with the Green Line, every day we think about the million rides we already carry. That's our first priority. If we want to try new things, we just need to try them in a responsible way. And so we're vetting the idea because it may be a good idea. The control board will ultimately have to decide whether it's a good enough idea that it's worth another pilot.
May the Green Line happen. Stephanie Pollack, it's great to see you.
Great to see you again, Jim.
Thanks so much.